I know, I also hate it when people use extremes like this, but this is the best travel tripod I have ever used. And now I'm gonna explain why. Just a quick disclaimer, Ulanzi did send me out this tripod for free to test out and share my thoughts on, but they haven't paid me for this video and I can say whatever I like about it. So personally, I do a lot of shoots where I'm traveling around the world in remote locations and I need gear that is light, compact, and gets the job done for me. And I know it's not always easy to get all three of those things, but I think this tripod definitely meets the mark on that. What I used to use before this was the Manfrotto Be-Free Advanced Aluminium Tripod. And look, it's not a bad tripod, this is definitely cheaper, but in almost every aspect, that one is better, and it means it's worth the extra price in my opinion. So what I've become used to with my tripods are these twist locks, where you rotate them one way to unlock them, and then you rotate them another way to lock them. And it works pretty well, but the problem is I've found that when sand and things get stuck in here, they get really stiff, and the other problem is you also can't see when it's locked. So when you have something like this, now you've got these little latches, and you can clearly see when it's unlocked, so there's never gonna be a chance where it looks locked, but you turn around again and your tripod's fallen over and your camera's broken, because that sucks. I mean, other than that, when I compare these two, a tripod is still a tripod at the end of the day. It's designed to hold up a camera at a specific height above the ground and be stable. And this does do the job, but this can just do so much more. Now, I clearly need to mention the Peak Design shaped elephant in the room, and that's their travel tripod. Now, this has clearly gotten a lot of inspiration from that, but I don't have a problem with it because what Ulanzi have done is they've looked at that tripod and they've said, what can we do better? And they've actually made quite a few improvements in my opinion, while coming in at a way lower price. So I've just checked the prices and the Peak Design tripod with carbon fiber comes in at around $650, whereas this guy comes in at $370. That is a massive difference. Personally for me, when that Peak Design tripod came out, I thought it looked amazing, but I never bought it just because of that massive price tag. Just never felt worth it. But at 370, that's almost half the price. I mean, that's insane. So I don't have the Peak Design tripod with me here, but I have used it before a few times, and I will be comparing the two tripods from my personal experience, showing what I think is better about one or the other. So in terms of design, we've got all carbon fiber legs and the rest of it's basically aluminium, and it feels really strong and robust. It doesn't feel like it's going to break easily. Compared to the Peak Design, I think it's just going to be personal preference on which you think looks better. I personally think the Peak Design probably does look a little cooler because it's got that kind of like angled shape and it's more rounded overall. But you know what? I don't really care at the end of the day. They both look really good. So for the leg design, they've got these metal clips. And if you're really good at it, which I'm not, you can undo all of them at once, just like this. I clearly need some practice. And then you can flick them all down at once. So they all fall down like that. And then you can kind of pull your hands around them to tighten them. And I know this is exactly how the Peak Design one works, but they work equally as well in this regard. In terms of maximum height, this is how far it goes without the column raised. And if I raise up the center column here, might be slightly out of the frame, but I'm 6'2", and this comes up to my chin. So for me, that is pretty high, and I don't really need it higher than that. So with the ball head is where you're really gonna be getting a big difference between the Ulanzi and the Peak Design. And I think the Ulanzi one is much better. So to raise and lower the column, you've got this little latch here instead of the little knob on the Peak Design. And when you raise it up, you can just slide it up and down. It's not the smoothest, but it does the job. And when you're at the right height, you just lock it in. And it's nice and tight in there. It's not going anywhere. And now the ball head. The Peak Design has these like 3 little ridges on each triangular. It's got these 3 ridges, which blocks it from going down like this unless you have to pivot. It's kind of weird. But with this guy, you've got 2 ridges on either side, which go all the way up. So you can fold it 90 degrees looking up like that on either side. And then you've got unlimited movement in this regard. And when you're finally happy with the placement, you just close it with this lever here, and that is not going anywhere. It is super tight. So for the mounting system, it uses this Swiss type plate, but Ulanzi actually have their own quick release system called the F38, and I'll be going into that in another video. But for now, this one works with F38 and Swiss like this. So to mount it on, we all know the drill. You just slide it in, tighten the knob, and now it's not going anywhere. It's very tight on there, and we all know the Swiss is tried and tested. And once you lock it in, it is locked in there. You cannot move it. So another really nice thing is this little screw here on the side, which actually lets you rotate the camera. So when you unlock that, you can spin it 360 degrees and it's nice and smooth. Now, the other really cool thing about this tripod is you can not only get really high with it, you can also get really low with it. And I'm going to show you how that works now. So to get even more height flexibility, you've got these little latches here, which have 3 preset positions. You pull down this little latch and then you clip it up, pull it down again and again. So you've got there, and you've got there. That's going to give you 3 different levels of height with the tripod. Obviously, the lower you want to get to the ground, the flatter you're going to bring that leg up, and you can do it with all 3 of these. So if you want to get as low as possible, what you're going to do is firstly make the legs as short as possible, obviously, which is fortunately very nice and easy. I'm not used to a tripod that's this easy to take down and put up, so that's probably why I'm smiling a lot in this video. So now that our legs are as short as possible, they're locked in, we spread them out, but obviously we want to get lower. So we tilt these to the flattest position possible. And look at that, we've got a really low tripod. But the problem, of course, now is that the head is getting in the way and you can't go any lower than that. So what Ulanzi have done here is really genius. At the bottom here, which is also a little clip I forgot to mention, for heavy winds and when you're in a place that's not that stable, you can hang a bag onto there and actually get a lot more weight on the tripod, so it's a lot more stable. But it also doubles as a little Allen key. So let's take it out here quick. And if you rotate the ball head fully this way, as I showed, and you unscrew it, now what you're gonna see is you've got this little mini ball head with a center column. So this is really cool, and I really like this because I often have my center columns just getting in the way of getting those super low shots. So now we've got this baby little center column, and all we do is slide it in there and lock it just like normal. And now we've got a super low tripod, and that is beautiful. But I know what you're thinking, can I go even lower? And yes, you can. So to do that, you're actually going to want to raise it up a level. And for this, you can definitely leave in the longer center column. I might actually need to add it. But essentially what you do is you put this in upside down. And then lock it in place like normal. And now you're basically on the ground. Now this is really cool, and I've never been able to do this with a tripod before. So if you want to do those landscape shots where you've got even just grass in the foreground, this is going to be beautiful for that. And I'm really excited to take this on some trips I have coming up soon. So I'm just going to put the longer center column back on, and of course that's really simple. You just need to slide it back in there. Use your little Allen key. And it is so nice that they include this in the tripod, because it's the most frustrating thing when you're out in the middle of nature and you can't get a shot because you don't have an Allen key or like the simplest little tool with you. So I really appreciate this attention to detail. So in terms of what else this tripod comes with, In the bag, you get these 3 little metal feet, which if you want, you can unscrew the old rubber ones. It's quite a long thread. And then you just screw in these metal ones. And I've personally never used these before, so I don't know if I will. But I think for some landscape photography, these come in real handy. So it's really nice that they just include them in the box. So what you also get in the box is this little travel bag with branding on it, and it feels nice and solid. Then you get this little strap, which I guess is a shoulder strap, so you can hold it like that. Just pretty nice for if you're traveling. And this slides right in there. Let's see how snug it is. And that's really good. The Peak Design bag, I know from my experience, is a bit too tight and it really doesn't fit in as easily as you would hope it to. Personally, for me, I prefer just putting it straight in my backpack like this. Oh my god. I'm not used to the tripod being able to fit all 3 legs within the bag. I've normally got to like stick one out randomly and then it gets pulled on things and it's awkward. So I really like this. So I just slide it in like that, wrap it around, clip it in place, and then you're ready to go. Ultra lightweight and compact. One thing I forgot to mention is this tripod is also about 200 grams lighter than the Peak Design tripod. Now that was already so light it was blowing minds, and this, they've managed to make it even lighter. So I think you can tell I really like this tripod. If you're on the fence about it, get it. If you've been considering getting the Peak Design tripod, get this one instead. It is so good and it's not going to disappoint you. If you're looking at getting one for yourself, then you can find links to it in the description below. But before you do that, I made another video where I compared this version of the tripod with Arca Swiss to Ulanzi's other version, which has a head which uses the F38 quick release system. Now, if you thought this was smart, wait till you see everything the F38 system can do. It is amazing, and I'm so excited to have switched over it. So check that video out here, and I'll see you in the next one.